Hi, I'm Marielle from MarielleAccentCoach.com, and in this video, we're going to be talking about something really interesting I've noticed tends to happen with my clients when pronouncing words with N or NG in English. First of all, just so we're clear, normally an N is pronounced with the tip of the tongue, na 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 na. But NG is like an N pronounced not with the tip of the tongue, but with the middle to back part of the tongue. Nga, nga, nga. So a word like on is pronounced with the tip. Na, 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 on. While a word like song, song, nga, 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 song, is pronounced with the middle to back part of the tongue. But here's the thing. Even with NG, nga, 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 we're not really using the very, very backmost part of the tongue to articulate it, because that would look like this. And we don't do that. We use the middle to back part of the tongue, and really more the middle than the back. Nga, 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 which is very, very different. So you can imagine what a big impact it's going to have on how clear your speech sounds if you're using the rear part of the tongue, the part closer to the throat, to articulate NG every time it comes up, while Americans are using the middle part of the tongue. When Americans touch the palate with the middle of the tongue for NG, the backmost part of the tongue is actually very, very far from the upper palate. It's not like this, but like this. So the back of the tongue actually has to stay away from the upper palate and keep some distance away from it, even when the middle of the tongue is touching the roof of the mouth for NG. Nga, 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 nga. So it's giving my voice a very different resonance. And again, this has to do with where the tongue is relative to the upper palate, as well as which specific muscle in the tongue, which part of the tongue is touching the palate. So let's take the word long as an example. Long, long, long. I'm touching the palate with the middle of my tongue. But here's what it might look like if I'm touching the palate with the backmost part of my tongue, which I'm willing to bet is probably what you would do automatically. Then it would look like long, 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 long. If you use the backmost part of your tongue here, not only is it not the part of the tongue an American would use, so the NG itself sounds very different, it sounds off, but also you're not really able to articulate the vowel before the NG very well if you're using the backmost part of your tongue for the NG. See how if I go my vowel is destroyed. I cannot articulate ah clearly if the backmost part of my tongue is popping up for NG. So if instead you use the middle part of your tongue to lift, ong, 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 then you're able to hold the shape of the vowel better, and we can hear that ah more clearly. And the same thing applies when you have, let's say, ing. If you're using the backmost part of your tongue to touch the palate on NG, I won't hear the vowel clearly. So let's see what that would look like. Eng, 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 eng. This is me making ing while touching the palate with the backmost part of my tongue. Now let's see what happens if we pronounce ing using the middle of the tongue for the ng. Nga, 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 nga. Ing, ing, ing. Ing, ing, ing. Wow, hear how that one sounds so much more native-like? It's all in which part of the tongue you're using. But here's the thing. If you try to touch the upper palate using the middle of your tongue, but the back of your tongue is still getting very close to the upper palate, then you're still going to find that it doesn't sound right. So you also have to work on keeping the back of your tongue away from the roof of your mouth in the back. You need the back of your mouth to be open with no blocking back there. Keep the back of your tongue low and relaxed. One very interesting thing that I've noticed too is that some of my clients also have a habit of making the back of the tongue get close to the upper palate, even when making an N with the tip of the tongue. So even when going na 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 na, making an N with the tip of the tongue, sometimes they'll still have the back of the tongue like this, raised close to the palate. So this makes it so that instead of getting on, they would get on, this type of sound, which occurs when you are touching the palate with the tip of your tongue, but also this is going on in the back. So side note, you also want to be very aware of that because that could be happening when you're making N's. And instead, also when you make an N with the tip of your tongue, you need the back of your tongue to be away from the palate. Okay, you need space in the back of your mouth. So you want to be aware of this habit anytime you're using a nasal consonant, whether it be N, N, NG, ng, NK, nk, or an M, m. For all of these, make sure that you're keeping the back of your tongue a solid distance away from the roof of your mouth and back. Hi, are you a non-native English speaking professional looking to learn an American accent? Be sure to check out the link in the description box down below or the comment section in order to learn more about my one-on-one American accent coaching programs or my self-paced online video course. That's it for today. Ciao!